Hello guys, welcome to another video. In this video, we would be seeing a very basic POC on Langgraph. Okay, so I'll tell you what we are going to see. We'll just create a simple Langgraph, not so complex at all. And what we are doing is I have a travel DB. Okay, user will ask some question by giving the customer ID, and now the LLM will extract the customer ID. Okay, and as we have the customer ID, we can query the database with the customer ID and we get all the information about the customer ID, and we summarize and return the response to the user. So user may ask any question, but he should include the customer ID. So let me go and show you the table. If you see, this is my table, travel customer, where I have information about email, travel related information, where is he traveling to, booked on, booking status, date of travel, travel completed, if completed what is the feedback, if not completed then when is he going, what are the loyal points, the phone number, emergency contact details, all this kind of information is there. In case let's assume this scenario can be applied to the make my trip and all, where in case if the user has booked a specific travel, and before going to the travel, in case if he wants to verify everything, he can just query with the plain text and he gets the response accordingly. So we can do that now. So if I go to the code, if you see, I'm just setting up the API key here. That's it, simple thing. I'm just importing all the required Langchain and the Langgraph modules. And if you see, I'm creating a state. So in Langgraph, we create a state, and inside which we create some attributes. Here I'm using the messages alone. In the next examples, I'll add some more attributes as well, and we'll add a little more complexity as well. Okay, if you create a state in Langgraph with some attribute, you can access it in any point in time. That's the purpose of creating the state here. As you go by, you will get more clarity. And in case if you want very detailed, you can watch my Langgraph playlist where I have very clearly explained. And now if you see here, I'm just getting the connection of my PostgreDB. That's it. Here I'm just getting this engine connection. That's it. And if you see, I have the first method. In this first method, if you see, I'm just creating a prompt, and in this prompt, I'm just asking the LLM to just greet the user. That's it. Okay, if you see inside this method, I have a prompt, a model, and I'm creating a chain with the prompt and model, and I'm just invoking it, and I'm appending that response, this greeting response, to the messages. So at every step, whatever the response we get from the user or from the AI, we are appending it to this state object, to this object which we create to the state class, because this add messages we are giving, right? It just appends for whatever the messages we pass. Okay, so here if you see, I'm passing state of messages dot append this value, because we are annotated with this, it just appends the message. This add message will append it. Okay, and again I have another method here. If you see it, this method will just ask the user, take the input query from the user. That's it, and again appends that also to the state object with the messages type, because here we have only one attribute, messages. Okay, and if you see here, as it's a AI message, I am appending with the class type of AI message, and it's a human message because human user has to input some kind of query, right? So I am appending it with the human message. That's it. And again if you see, then I have a next method. In this method, I'm just extracting the customer ID from the user text. That's it. If you see, I'm just reading the last message from the state. The thing what happens before this step is the user will give the response, right? So I'm taking the last message from the state, and I'm reading the content of that, and I'm passing that content to this prompt, and inside this prompt I'm saying like, please extract the customer ID like 5, 6, if there is no customer ID then NA, like that. And if you see that prompt I'm passing here to the model, I'm building a chain and I'm just invoking that chain, so I'll get the response, and that response again I'm appending to the state of messages with the human message, saying like extracted customer ID equal to what is the customer ID we get from the user message. That's it. If you see, at every step I'm updating the state messages. Then I am fetching here. If you see, this is a method which just fetches the from the database. That's it, and converts that pandas data frame to a string. That's it. And here if you see, this is where we summarize the user query. If you see what we are doing, first we are from the messages, from the human message. If you see here, I'm just extracting all the messages in a for loop, and if it is a human message, and if it has query equal to, because if you see above, while we are appending the user query, we are adding this query equal to and the content the user has asked. Okay, So based on that, we are just querying, we are just fetching again. If it has a query, then we are extracting that and we are keeping that. So this query text will have the exact question the user has asked, and then again I am trying to get the customer ID again from the state messages. If you say I am again iterating, I'm just checking if it is of human message type, and I'm checking if it starts with extracted customer ID equal to, because if you see at the extract step, we are appending the state messages with the extracted customer ID equal to. So with the same I am extracting and I am getting that customer ID, that's it. Now that customer ID I am passing it to the fetch customer data, this method, and here we are getting the response from the database and converting it to a string. That's it, the pandas data frame to a string. That's it. This DB content will be the string of the user information. So now we have the query, we have the content which we stored in our database for the specific user ID, and both we can pass in a chain to this prompt. That's it. And it will summarize the information. That's it, right? If you see here, I am building a state graph here by passing it a state class which we have created here. Here, this one. Now this is how we do in Langgraph. If you want, you can watch my Langgraph tutorials. I've explained very basic. So now all the methods which I have done, I have converting them to the nodes. If you see the greet customer one node, get user query one node, and extract one node, summarize customer query is the final node. Now I have declared the nodes, and in Langgraph, once we declare the nodes, then we have to add the edges. That means after first node, which node to execute, after second node, which node to execute. That dependency I have created here. That's it. If you see, I'm adding some memory. That's it, to this builder.compile of checkpointer equal to memory, this builder. That's it. Now I'm just printing the graph. See, start query, greet customer, get user query, extract and summarize, and I'm just creating a unique ID. That's it, thread ID, and I am triggering it. If you see here, this graph which we have created, right, builder.compile of with the memory. That's it. So graph.stream of human message. So I'm just saying hi first by default, and it will ask for the query and it will get the response. If you see, I have this particular question. Can you please confirm if customer 5 needs any visa assistance, and what is the passport number of his, and if there are any emergency contact. If you see here in our database for the customer 5, we have a column called does he need any visa assistance or not. Yes. Okay, visa assistance needed and all. So what is the passport number and all we have stored. Okay, if you see here, we have the passport number and all. So we are just asking that. So now I'll just copy this particular code and let me do run all, and it will ask for the question, please type user query. That's it. I just gave the same question and I click on enter, and if you see, it has printed it. So let me paste it in the markdown. See, customer 5 Vikram Reddy is traveling to Dubai, UAE on January 8, 2025 for a friend's getaway trip. He does not have any visa assistance required as he has a passport with a number. In case of emergency, sister Lakshmi Reddy can be contacted in the number. So this is how we get the response from the LLM, the summarized response from the LLM. Okay, now let me ask another question. Give me the emergency contact for the customer ID 4. Okay, now let me run all. Let me print this, execute this. See, these are the emergency contact information. So here we have just built a very simple Langgraph which takes the input query, okay, and extracts the customer ID from the input query. And how we are extracting the text? Using the state of messages, but reading the very last message and extracting the content, because before this extract step, this step got executed. So we are just reading the last message alone, and we are getting the customer ID. Once we get the customer ID here, based on the customer ID, again, once we fetch the customer ID, we are again storing it in the messages. Okay, state of messages as a human message. And now again in the final task, we are first extracting the query which user has asked, and that we are giving it to the prompt, and then we have the customer information, customer ID we have, right? So once we have the customer ID, we are calling this fetch customer data, which will query the database, and get all the information. So that content also we are again passing it to the prompt. So both the query and the customer information we are giving to the prompt, and we are building a chain, and it will summarize the information. That's it. Very simple thing. Very simple tutorial on Langgraph. Okay, we are just here. If you see, we are just creating the nodes and adding the edges. And if you want very granular explanation, you can watch my Langgraph tutorials in my channel. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.